Yeah, we have. Yeah.
I'm Steve. I'll be your presenter for the day. You ready for a chin whack? Do you enjoy doing interviews?
They're okay. I'm used to them now. Thank you.
Oscar Piastri, take one. Ready? Everybody good? Everybody happy? Everybody in? Yeah? Okay, here we go. This is where you cut your teeth.
Yes.
The Oakley GoKart Club.
Yep.
How does it feel to be back?
Yeah, it's nice to be back. This part of the track that we're sitting on wasn't actually built when I raced here many years ago. It used to go just to a hairpin down there, but no, nice to be back. Yeah, this is where it all began.
Well, I know you moved away from Melbourne at a young age to further your motorsport career, but this is your hometown. You are Melburnian.
Yep.
It must be very nice to be from one of the world's truly great cities.
Yeah, it's nice. I grew up probably 20 minutes away from where we are now, and yeah, to be back for a home race is very special. Let alone in Australia. It'll be my first race in Australia since I left karting all those years ago. But to have it in my home city as well is going to be incredibly special. So it's nice to be back.
Extraordinary. I'm right in saying this town is sport obsessed.
Yep.
It's like
correct.
Oxygen to you people.
Yes.
Are you sport obsessed, or are you exclusively four wheels and an engine?
I'd say four wheels and an engine biased.
Okay.
But I enjoy watching cricket in the summer. When time allows, I used to watch Australian rules football, but now in the UK it's on at like 2 or 3 in the morning, so it makes that difficult. I've watched a couple of games since I've been back this week, which has been nice, but on TV, that is. But no, I just enjoy all kinds of sport, really. I think that's what got me into racing to begin with. I was playing all sorts of sport to begin with, just getting that competitive spirit going, and then four wheels and an engine really took my fancy.
You moved to the UK when you were 14 to further your motorsport career. How difficult a decision was that? And I mean that with the greatest respect to my home country. It's not like it's Alcatraz. My point being, it's Melbourne. Come on, it's incredible. You left all this behind.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely wasn't an easy decision. I think for me, obviously leaving my family behind, my friends behind, moving to the other side of the world.
14?
I was with my dad for the first 6 months. And then, basically I've got my mum and 3 sisters here. And he said, you can keep doing this and try and achieve your dream if you want, but I'm going back home to the rest of the family. So I went to boarding school after that for 4 years. But yeah, it wasn't an easy decision, but I knew, if I wanted any chance of making F1, that I had to be in Europe. And, being in the UK was easy for me because that's the only language I speak. So yeah, I knew if I wanted to have any chance of F1 at all, I knew the chances of getting there were still very slim, but if I had any chance, I had to be in Europe.
It's just incredible. When I was 14, I would struggle to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
Where do you summon that focus, that commitment to get where you are today, a Formula One driver? Where does it come from?
I don't really know, to be honest. I mean, when I was 14 as well, I still had those same problems, Steve. So it wasn't like moving to the other side of the world completely changed me, but it definitely, it gives you you have to be independent, and, taking flights by myself and trying to get places by myself, it definitely, you grow up very quickly. But, that being said, I was still a teenager and still doing, teenager things, I guess, and also struggling to get out of bed some mornings. But, I think, when it came to racing, I had a good support group of people around me in the UK as well. So, I wasn't completely there by myself, doing everything myself. I had the race teams I was with and, some people working with me. So I had people I could talk to and, most importantly, drive me places. That was the biggest issue for the first few years. But no, it was good, and I think I'm definitely more mature than I would have been had I stayed in Australia, just because I had to be at that age.
The faith your family had in you has definitely paid off big time. You won the F3 championship, you did the same with F2, and now here you are in F1. Was it ever in doubt that you would end up right here, right now?
I mean, for the first 4 or 5 years, definitely. I think it was really until I started leading the Formula 2 Championship where, that doubt kind of goes away. And even with that, it didn't translate to an automatic graduation to F1. I spent a year as reserve driver. So, even after that point, there was still uncertainty about it and everything. But, I think until you get there and achieve, especially the F2 Championship, there's still always that doubt, and the chance of getting to F1 is still so slim. So yeah, there was plenty of doubt the whole way through, but we knew that the only way really to get there was through results, which I managed to get, and then since then it's been good, and McLaren, accepted me into their arms and gave me a chance in F1, and yeah, incredibly grateful for it.
You've had 2 races so far as a Formula 1 driver, Bahrain, Saudi. Is F1 everything you hoped it would be? I mean, now you're here, the old saying, careful what you wish for. It's happened. Is it all you dreamed it would be?
I think so, definitely. It's what I wanted to do when I was a kid. I think initially I wanted to be, the dream was always to be an F1, but the main goal was to be a professional racing driver in something. I just wanted to drive race cars for a living. And, why not set your aims high and try and get to F1? And yeah, to be able to do that is incredibly exciting. And, I think there's definitely some things that are not quite as glamorous as they come across on TV, but...
Which elements?
I mean, this is probably one of the nicer interviews, doing a karting experience, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on, outside of the track. A lot of preparation, a lot of dedication. We're traveling nearly 24/7, and there's a lot that goes on. And I think being a reserve driver last year, I got a very good insight into all of that. So it's not completely unexpected for me. It's just, I guess part of being in the job, and I think it's all worth it when you get to go out there on track, drive the fastest cars in the world, race against the best people, in front of hundreds of thousands of people. It's I think what we all dream of when we're a kid.
Now, McLaren, clearly they have 2 very talented drivers, but it seems to the layman that those cars are not up to snuff. How are we feeling about that? Are you a little bit disappointed?
I don't think disappointed is the word. I think, obviously we're not exactly where we want to be. I think the first 2 races have probably, we've had some misfortune. Obviously Saudi, Saturday was good in qualifying, making Q3 for myself, and then of course broke my front wing, and of course who did it hit? Lando.
Naturally.
Yes, and then obviously Bahrain had an electrical issue on my side, and Lando had an issue on his car. So I think we haven't really been able to show the pace that we have on Sundays. I think Saudi qualifying for me was, probably representative of where we can be. But I think from where we are to the back of the field, it's so tight. So any small mistake, like I made in Bahrain, for example, in qualifying, it really punishes you. So of course we want to be fighting for further in the points, and ultimately, in the not too distant future for podiums and for wins eventually. But yeah, I think obviously we haven't quite hit our targets, and we've been very open about that. And I think we've got a very good plan throughout the course of the year to try and get ourselves, challenging those top 4 teams now.
It's a time of change for McLaren. I mean, since you've joined, the team has changed radically. Andre Seidel, team principal, James Key, technical director, they've flown the coop. Does that make things difficult for you?
I think, Andreas was a very keen advocate of mine when I first joined McLaren. And, I'm still on very good terms with Andreas, but I've got a lot of confidence in Andrea. I've been incredibly impressed.
The new chap, Stella.
Yes, with Stella. And, even when I got to know him in his previous role at the end of last year, I was very impressed with how he operates. And, I've got absolutely no doubts he'll continue to be a great team principal for the team. And obviously, yeah, we've made some changes on the technical side as well now, and I've got full faith in Andrea and Zach that they're the right changes, and obviously they're doing everything they can to propel the team forward and get us back to where we want to be. And I think for myself, I've obviously got a lot to worry about on my side, just getting back up to speed and trying to extract the most that I can out of the car, and try and drive the best that I can.
Let's put aside the mountain that McLaren have to climb at the moment. You're in Melbourne. It's your home Grand Prix. This is the stuff of dreams, isn't it? This is what dreams are literally made of.
Yes, they are. I think, I always had people, people that are here today saying how cool would it be to race in Melbourne a few years down the line. And I think, my whole life I pretty much brushed it off, never really dreaming it would happen. Well, of course, dreaming it would happen, but never thinking it would become reality. And to make it happen for the first time this year is, awesome. I think it's a privilege to have a home race in your home country, but for me, I grew up 10 or 15 minutes away from Albert Park, so it's well and truly a home race. It's closer than what my local go-kart track was to me all those years ago, so I don't think dreams get any better than that.
Australia loves Grand Prix. You're now their driver. You're officially Australia's driver. Are you ready for that level of adoration? I mean, do you feel a little nervous to accept their love?
I don't know. I don't think nervous, but obviously, having the home support is going to be incredibly. It's going to be incredible. To have a whole country cheering for you, hopefully, is pretty surreal.
Yeah.
And we only get one Grand Prix a year, obviously, in Australia, so everyone comes to come and watch this race for one weekend, and it'll be pretty awesome to have them all there. Even as a reserve driver last year, it was an incredible experience to experience all that support, and I'm sure it'll spear me on throughout the weekend.
It's crazy though. I mean, reserve driver last year, this year, you're in the car, you're racing for McLaren, boom, household name instantly. Everybody in Australia now knows who you are. That's surreal, to use your word.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. There's obviously not been that many Aussie drivers throughout the history of F1, and normally there's either one or two of us at a time. So you naturally kind of get a lot of the home support, if not all of it, in this year's case.
Yeah.
It's an incredible feeling. Of course, the Aussies are very passionate and want their drivers to do well, and I'll try my best. But it'll be amazing to have all the home support.
And of course, as an Aussie driver, you'll have the Melbourne Drivers Walk, which is iconic at this point. I mean, There's no other walk like that on the calendar. Have you been practicing your signature and your fake smile?
It's gotten my signature's gotten shorter over the years, so now I can get more in.
Yeah.
Even last year, I think a couple of days it took me over half an hour to get from the car park to the paddock entrance, which is like 100 meters or 200
Double
meters.
that this year.
Yes, so I'm sure it'll be crazy, and as you said, it's very unique to Melbourne, and a great chance for all the fans to see not just me but all their favourite F1 drivers. So. I'll try and spend as much time as I can there and not miss any meetings. That's the main focus.
Try not to miss the race.
Exactly.
That's how long
Try not
you'll
to
be
miss
there.
the race, yes. But no, it's an incredible experience for all the fans, I'm sure.
Enjoy it. Our own Mark Webber is, of course, your manager. Hell of a driver, hell of a pundit. What's he like as a manager?
He's a hell of a manager too.
He tells me he's fantastic all the time, but I'd rather get it from the horse's mouth.
No, he's good, incredibly good, and obviously he's been through my journey before, and especially now that I'm in F1, obviously he's had an incredible career in F1 himself. So I think he obviously knows a lot of people in the paddock, pretty much everyone, and knows what I guess with his hindsight is my foresight in some ways. So.
Nice.
He tells me that all the time, and sometimes there's a few decisions that maybe I don't agree with, but I always remember that he's been here in my shoes before, and there's a very good reason why there's some things he wants to do certain ways, which I'm incredibly grateful for, both him and Dan. I'm sure there's millions of things in the background that I don't even know have gone on because they're taking care of it.
Yeah.
So they make my life much easier in the background, and obviously Mark's got a lot of words of wisdom for on the track as well.
It's just amazing. I mean, you made it. You arrived in F1. It feels like the stars have aligned, almost like Providence. Not only are you an F1 driver, but you get Aussie grit in your corner as well. It's extraordinary. It's meant to be.
Yes.
What advice has he given you about your first F1 Melbourne experience?
I think, so far there's actually been not too much. It's just been, I guess, managing the workload Obviously I'm only here for almost a week, and everyone wants to come and say hi, including my family and all my friends and stuff. So I think just managing time is probably one of the biggest things to get right throughout the week, and him and McLaren have been great with that so far, and I'm sure they will be throughout the rest of the week. But obviously enjoy it firstly, and I think in terms of the racing side of things, it's no different from any other weekend. I'm out there to try and do my best on track. It'll be a bit weird to be on roads that I've driven on my whole life at very slow speeds.
Have you been around Albert Park in like a bus, like public transport?
Not public transport, but I've driven around there in a road car plenty of times.
Weird.
At like 40 k's an hour. So doing 300 is going to be a bit different. But no, he's been, I think very careful with managing my time and that sort of stuff. And obviously throughout the course of the week, I'm sure he'll have tips and tricks on the track. But yeah, that kind of stuff in the background is really where, the support from Mark and Anne is incredible.
Last one. How do you see the weekend unfolding? What's your feeling? Blue sky thinking, what would you like to happen?
I think it's supposed to be reasonably cold.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that plays into our favour a little bit. The team had a good result here last year. I think it'll probably be closer to Saudi in terms of sort of track specifics and tarmac and stuff like that compared to Bahrain. So hopefully that suits us a bit better. I think, like we saw in Saudi, you have a good session, you can be in Q3, fighting for points. And I think, both races we've been able in terms of pace to fight for the back end of points. So I think that's probably our target again this week, and just try and have a clean race. I think for both myself and Lando would be very appreciative of that. But yeah, I think we can definitely try and fight for the back end of points and see what we can do.
Beautiful. The very best of luck, sir.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
If I may, look, we're on the track.
Yes.
We have two karts here.
Yes.
It would be rude not to.
I agree.
So, do you fancy a piece of this? Because there's plenty to go around.
How much of a head start do you want?
Okay, if you're on the starting line, how about the exit of turn 1?
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Word to the wise, I know you're an F1 driver, blah, blah, blah. I was driving before you were born. So this ain't going to be a pushover. That's all I'm saying, okay?
Sure.
All right, well, let's boogie.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Clearly won. Second to an F1 driver, huh? Not to be sniffed at, that's 18 points. So, what's this? Thank you. Thank you, Adam. It's a no from the Stewards.
What do you mean it's a no from the Stewards?
Car 94, that's you, yeah?
Yeah.
Piastri. Grid placement infringement. Let's take a look.
Nah, that's all good.
Oh,
it's
look
all
at that.
good,
No,
Steve.
clearly on the wonk.
No, it's good.
Hey, you're in enough trouble with the stewards. Don't make it worse. To finish the note, 10-second time penalty for Piastri. Oh, yeah! Jones for the win! Oh, I knew I could do it. Oh, I knew it! Where are you going?
I'm leaving.
Oh, sour grapes. Jones for the win, baby. Boom!